Hey, good morning, everybody on the live stream. I'll be right with you. I'm typing up a little push alert to get this live stream sent to a few cell phones around the area. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Benton and Washington counties. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for the potential of 70-mile-per-hour winds. Could be some small hail in it, and while there is no immediate tornado threat, there have been some pockets of rotation within this line of storms that's getting ready to move into the area. So we'll be tracking that over the next several minutes. That severe thunderstorm warning does include Siloam Springs, Bentonville, Gravette, Decatur, Rogers, Johnson, Springdale, Fayetteville, Farmington as well. Let's push that alert out. I should be going to some cell phones here real quick. Fantastic. Let's see if that just went. Hey, Patrick, let's do this. Let's go ahead and go on to channel 5. Current time is 1:33. If we want to fire up the old transmitter, we'll continue our coverage on 5+ here as well as on our streaming platforms. If you're just now joining us, here's the area-wide picture of Doppler radar. You do have some scattered activity that's producing a lot of lightning and thunder in the River Valley, but our only severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect for northwest Arkansas. You'll see that orange polygon here represents the actual warning itself. Reason we've got this warning, 70-mile-per-hour straight line winds could be coming out of the specific cell, but there is going to be that potential of a little bit of quick spin-up rotation. We're going to want to watch that very closely. This specific warning in effect until 2 o'clock this morning. Actually, that's going to be the other one. I think this actual warning may go a little bit further out in time. Let's see here. I'll go ahead and take another look back into that. Yeah, let's go ahead and go on air if we can.
Live on 5 News and streaming on 5+, this is a Weather Impact Alert.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm 5 News Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert, tracking a severe thunderstorm warning for northwest Arkansas right now. Despite the fact there's a lot of loud thunderstorms all across the viewing area, this is the only one that has any type of severe weather warnings. It's a severe thunderstorm warning with the expiration time of 2:15 this morning. Primary concerns, damaging straight line winds up to about 70 or so miles per hour. The one thing that makes this one a little bit interesting, the Weather Service was very intentional when they put a tornado possible tag on this. Right now, there are some pockets of rotation at times within that specific cell. I want to show you where it's at. Right now, it's going to be just to the west-southwest of Siloam Springs in this general vicinity right here. It's not strong enough rotation in which they needed to issue a tornado warning. That's the good news for us. Now, could that change? Absolutely. So we'll continue watching that over the next several minutes. But right now, rotation somewhat weak in nature. I'm going to circle it for you. It's going to be right in this general vicinity, and it is pushing off towards the north and east. Eventually, that would take that into Benton County. The severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for both Benton and Washington County. That runs, of course, until 2:15. Right now, 70-mile-per-hour straight line winds. That's probably going to be our most likely hazard at the moment. With that said, there could be some pockets of some really small hail mixing in with that cell as well. Let's do this. Let's put a track on it. First, we've got to know how quick it's moving, and that has been moving relatively quickly over the last several minutes. Right now, up to about 45 or so miles per hour. So with that in mind, we're able to put a track on it for you to give you an estimated time of arrival from the leading edge of that line, which is where those winds are likely going to be the strongest. That would put it in places such as Siloam Springs at 1:37 this morning, Gentry at 1:42, Decatur at 1:46, Crystal Lake 1:47, Gravette 1:49. We can work our way down the list. I'll call it some highlights to you. Downtown Fayetteville 2:04, Rogers Airport on the east side of town there on 2:12, Pea Ridge at 2:13. That's assuming this cell continues its current path and speed, which I suspect it probably is going to do just that. Let's go back into our rotation detector. We're going to be looking at winds and velocities. What we want to know is that rotation strengthening any at all? I don't think it has. We'll go a little bit closer so I can give you an exact location of where some of this rotation has been. We're looking near the Watts community. Broadly speaking, it's some very weak rotation. I'll tell you, the straight line wind potential is going to be notably higher than the actual rotation concern right there. That was a terrible circle circle. Let me try that again. This general vicinity right on top of 59. That will bring it through the southern part of Siloam Springs there south of Highway 412 over the next several minutes. Right now, that rotation not strong enough to have any actual concerns at this moment. We'll take another look up and down that line just to make sure there's no other areas of rotation, and I don't really see any. What we do notice, though, is there are some really intense winds coming out of the cell. When we look at just winds alone, where we find these brighter pixels right here, so we're looking at 55, let's say about, generally 55. You can probably find some 60 plus mile numbers, so some very high straight line winds, and that's going to be moving into northwestern Washington County, a good chunk of Benton County, and this is the primary concern right now. Let's watch closely for that rotation potential to make sure nothing changes there, but it's going to be along the leading edge of this line segment right here that's going to continue tracking towards the northeast, eventually into Bentonville, Rogers, Lowell, Springdale, Johnson, Fayetteville, Prairie Grove, Farmington, Weddington community, probably right now seeing a lot of those winds as we speak. If you're just now joining us, current time is 1:38. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for a good chunk of northwest Arkansas. Right now, though, that is our only actual severe thunderstorm warning. Despite the fact that there's a lot of thunderstorms happening in the River Valley, none of those at this moment are exhibiting any type of potential severe weather. That could potentially change, so we watch it closely, especially along the leading edge of this line that's now moving through portions of Sequoia and LaFleur counties. That's all going to be tracking towards the east-northeast. So a good chunk of folks are probably going to see some rain, and there's a lot of lightning out there. In fact, goodness gracious, these storms have been quite electric over the last several minutes, especially with this activity that's developed out ahead of the line. Again, not severe. Our primary concern remains to the north and east there of north and west there of Fayetteville. We'll keep looking at some of our weather cameras as well, just to make sure nothing necessarily is changing with regards to that lightning. It gives us a pretty good vantage of what's actually happening out there. A lot of this, what we're looking at, is actually Doppler radar indicated as of this moment. We've not actually seen any specific reports from any actual reporters, from chasers or storm spotters out there, which is some good news for us. Now, it is the middle of the night. It is dark. It would be tough to see much, but it's certainly possible that one of our cameras is going to be able to pick up on something. Let's do this. I'm going to go back into our rotation. We're going to be looking at the wind speeds, the wind velocities, just to get an idea of what's happening here. We'll go take a little tighter look where that area of rotation was a little bit stronger earlier this morning. This did prompt what we call a tornado possible tag. It's not an actual tornado warning. It's a step below that, and what it tells us is, well, there's a little pocket of rotation at times within the main leading edge of this system. Right now, damaging winds appears to be very likely. In fact, you can kind of see that bowing segment right there. That's a pretty classic signature on Doppler radar that would indicate you potentially do have some strong straight line winds. When you just look at the velocity signature alone, I think this is probably going to be out of the Fort's, it's probably going to be out of the Tulsa radar. Not as impressive, but no, this is the Fort Smith one. So let me back this up a little bit. What we'll be able to do is look at the Tulsa radar, which I think might be giving us a little bit better picture. There we go. And you can kind of see that kink right there. And that's probably where that rotation would be. We'll take a closer look into it right now. The key thing to keep in mind is we're seeing rotation, and that does sound alarming, and for a lot of folks it probably is. The thing is, rotation is not necessarily uncommon, and this rotation at this point, looking at it from the Tulsa radar, it's pretty elevated. So it's not low enough to the ground, it's not strong enough either, in which the Weather Service would need a specific severe tornado warning rather. Area of rotation would be just to the north of Cincinnati, and we're talking just to the south of Siloam Springs. You can kind of pick out exactly where it is. I'll circle it for you just to help you get a better idea. It's right on this kink on this leading edge of the line. Man, I'm terrible at my circles tonight. Okay, I'm not even going to try that. Key takeaway for us is it's weak. Let's watch it. It has been somewhat persistent over the last several scans, and that's really why the Weather Service went ahead and issued this downstream warning in advance of that. Straight line winds is going to be a pretty common occurrence for a good chunk of Benton County as well as northern Washington County. In addition to the potential of that, you're probably going to get a lot of flash flooding. Well, I say a lot. You could have some potential for flash flooding. These rains have been pretty heavy. The system system itself moving about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Ground's already saturated. We've seen a decent amount of rain over the last several days, and that's going to continue to exacerbate that flooding potential, likely over the next several hours, even through tomorrow when we get that round, I guess later today at this point, this afternoon into this evening. So one of the things we'll be watching, in addition to the fact that some of the times it's rotating, at times it's got some breezy, damaging straight line winds, flooding all on top of it. So it's really a multifaceted issue for us. We'll go ahead and look at our rotation once more. This is probably going to be out of the Fort Smith radar once more. You can kind of see that little notching segment line there. You take a broader perspective. When you look at that, here's our severe weather risk zone for later in the day. It has been upgraded to a level 3 potential for southwest Arkansas, with that second round of storms late morning, early afternoon. There's a lot of rain back off towards the west. This is what I wanted to show you. So while we do have the convective nature of those thunderstorms moving through east Oklahoma and west Arkansas right now, a lot of lightning. These storms are going to be loud. They're going to be waking a lot of folks up. Then you're going to have more rain that's developing even back as far south as, let's say, south central Oklahoma, well to the south of Oklahoma City. All of that precipitation is going to be tracking our direction over the next several minutes. Right now, it is currently 1:43. We are tracking a severe thunderstorm warning for Benton and Washington County. Damaging straight line winds is going to be the most likely hazard, but there are at times some pockets of some rotation. And for that reason, the Weather Service has added this, we call it a tornado possible tag, simply meaning that rotation could at any moment spin up a little bit stronger, a little bit tighter, a little bit more pronounced, in which they would want to go ahead and issue a tornado warning. They have not done that yet. They are watching it really closely. I'm looking offhand at our chat room that we talked to the Weather Service in, and they're watching it. They're watching it really closely. Right now, no immediate concerns. The winds have picked up in Siloam. Let's do this. Let's go a little bit closer in here. We'll get right on the leading edge of this line, and I really think it's probably going to be right on the Boeing segment right here where we see those strongest winds. So from Gentry, let's say back down towards Cincinnati, everywhere towards the east, you're probably about to see these winds, which right now could be reaching anywhere between 60 upwards of about 70 or so miles per hour. So certainly some strong straight line damaging winds. Some of those could very well make their way into the Fayetteville, Springdale area as well. I want to pull up our Rogers camera. I'm going to pull that up for us here real quick. I've got this thing pointed off towards the west. I've also got one in Bentonville that we can take a look at. So this first one is going to be out of Rogers, looking off towards the west. Here's going to be I-49. This is going to be sitting on top of the Mercy Hospital. So you're looking, there it is, some of that lightning back off in the distance. Lightning here is not as frequent as I suspected. It's certainly not as frequent as it has been in portions of the River Valley. Let's take a look at our Bentonville camera. We also have this one pointed off towards the west, and might give us a good idea as to what this cell looks like, for at least from the Bentonville perspective. Looking back off towards the southwest, really. So I would expect some lightning in this general vicinity, probably. We'll give it a little bit longer before we take a look into the River Valley, some of those cameras there. There's no active severe thunderstorm warnings, no active warnings at all anywhere else other than Benton and Washington County. That's not to say that we're not carefully watching the cells in the River Valley. I have been very closely. Right now they're just loud, and that's it. There's a lot of bark and no bite right now, which let's hope it stays that way for the next several minutes. I really thought we'd see some lightning there off towards the southwest from Bentonville, but that is not the case. Warning is continuing. Right now it's set to expire at 2:15 this morning, so a little less than about 30 minutes or so. Weather Service has just dropped the warning peak from 70 mile per hour straight line winds down to about 60. So maybe some signs that maybe it's not as strong as it just was, which would be some really good news for us. Right now from our ACHE camera, this one is in Fort Smith. Looks like we've got some rain droplets on the camera lens. Not able to see a whole lot out there. I suspect this one, there it is. I knew it was going to only take a little bit. A lot of lightning in the River Valley. These storms are very loud, but that's it, at least as of right now. We'll keep an eye on those cells. Back to live radar we go. We'll look area wide. And what we find are there's a lot of activity out there. And unfortunately for a lot of you, you might be up with me a little bit early this morning, more than you would like. And that's, I'm sorry about it. Unfortunately, Mother Nature's the culprit here. A lot of lightning and a lot of thunder out there this morning. And you're going to hear that probably for the next hour or two. Winds are probably about to get breezy in Fort Smith and Poteau. And let's say Sallisaw is probably breezy right now. now, Van Buren, Alma, back towards Charleston and Greenwood. That's not severe at the moment. I had a message from a nice woman in Hackett a few minutes ago wondering how bad is it going to get. Well, right now, nothing severe there in the River Valley. That could change. Right now, I'm not seeing anything that concerns me. It doesn't take much to get a severe warning, so we'll watch it closely. These storms are strong. I'm not going to question that, but they're strong in terms of radar presentation, a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, some gusty winds, and that's it, at least as of right now. I'm going to do this. We'll go back into live radar here in northwest Arkansas. We'll take another look up and down that line. Let's check in on that rotation. Has anything changed? Right now, you do have a very pronounced bowing segment, which tells me we probably got some, minimally some gusty straight line winds coming out of it. We look at the relative velocities, and when I look at that, I still do see a little bit of a kink right in this general vicinity. Let's go in closer and then I'll pinpoint it out to you. A little kink in the line. Right now, nothing is pronounced to warrant a tornado warning, but I would say generally just south here of 412, just to the east of Siloam Springs, getting close to that Washington County line. This broad vicinity here near Osage Hills Road, that's probably exactly where you'd find a little bit of spin. If there were to be any spin at all. Right now, it's pretty weak. It's honestly not that impressive, right? It's some rotation though, so we got to take it really seriously, and that's why we're here for you this morning doing just that. We'll do this. We'll go back out. I'm going to see if there's actually any hail in any of these cells. I don't think there has been really. Hail here. We'll take a closer look into some of these. All of these maroon boxes here, those are flood warnings right now. These showers and these storms have produced a lot of rain as they've moved our direction. I suspect we'll probably end up with at least a couple of those before the morning is over with. When you look into the hail detector, we're not actually seeing any hail at all, which isn't necessarily surprising. This has primarily been a damaging wind potential for a lot of us over the last couple of hours, which is probably going to continue to be the case through your early morning hours. The more prone these are to these bowing segments is probably going to continue to mean these storms have more propensity for some higher gusty winds. That really looks to be the primary issue we've got out there right now. A little bit of rotation here and there. That's why they've got those tornado possible tags. But I'll tell you, right now, I think we're in okay shape. We need to keep watching it for a little bit longer to make sure that doesn't change. We're not going to go anywhere until all of the warnings are expired. Doesn't matter if that's several hours from now or in 30 minutes when this one's likely set to expire. A little bit less than that at this point. We'll go ahead and take a closer look here into the River Valley at some of these cells. Look at all that lightning. Heavy rain, no question about it. Spiral, you're getting a good soaking downpour right now. That's getting ready to move into the Fort Smith area. You already got some rain on top of you right now, but the heavier stuff's just back off to your west just a little bit. Of course, that would include Van Buren, Uniontown, Cedarville there as well. Mountainburg, Alma, you've got some spotty to scattered showers at the moment. Some of those extending over towards Charleston and Greenwood. I think Scott County had a good thunderstorm move through a little bit earlier. We'll move our way down that line. Yep, that's exactly what we've got right now in Scott County. Nice thunderstorm there in portions of Waldron and Scott County. It looks like this one over here in LaFleur, not severe at the moment, but the Weather Service did just send me a note saying it is a strong thunderstorm and potentially it might have up to about 50 or so miles per hour winds. Let's see if that's the case. Yeah, 50 or so mile per hour winds with hail less than the severe threshold. That's probably going to be this cell right here that's going to be moving into the west side of LaFleur County. So Fanshawe, you're next in line. It's pretty much on top of you there right now. So I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know with regards to that specific cell. We'll take a big look off towards the area-wide look here one more time. Still looking at this severe thunderstorm warning. We're now definitively in the Arkansas portion of the viewing area with regards to the severe weather aspect. It's definitely in Benton, definitely in Washington County. Some strong activity extends into southeastern Adair County, but it's not severe. Your only warning is this orange polygon right here. We'll continue working our way up and down this line, just looking for areas of rotation, anything stick out. Honestly, nothing at the moment. That's the good news for us. Let's hope this doesn't change. This side of the Fort Smith radar, some straight line winds probably right there. In fact, we'll take a look at some of those pixels. You got to keep in mind, I'm going to show you some numbers here, but this is kind of high up in the atmosphere. This is probably not really representative of what's actually making it to the ground. Yeah, I wouldn't consider any of that severe at all, but I'm acutely aware that that's looking way up into the atmosphere, which is probably not an honest representation. Radar coverage in Benton County, not exactly the best. We're looking a little bit higher up in the elevation that we'd prefer to be looking much lower. Unfortunately, that's just what we got to deal with between the Fort Smith Tulsa and Springfield radars back into the River Valley. I'm looking all up and down this line. Is there anything sticking out that looks like rotation? No, not necessarily. That's the good news. I will just put my rotation detector on just to give me a second set of eyes. This sometimes is a little bit delayed, but I think it might be able to help us out a little bit this morning. This is just false returns right there. You can see some gusty wind potential, and then you get into Washington County, maybe a little bit of something there. Let's go back to the velocities. Is there any signature? No. Certainly some straight line winds. Let's do this. From the actual leading edge of the storm, we're going to put a track on this. I'm curious, I've already forgotten how quick that was moving. I think it was about 45 earlier, so let's double check that. Okay, it's actually moving a little bit quicker now. It's now moving at about 55 miles per hour. So with that in mind, what we'll do, I'm going to give you some estimated times of arrival from the leading edge of this line. And the leading edge of this line is going to put it in places that you might know. They're going to show up on my map here in just a second. We'll draw that out. So Centerton at 156, our best ballpark, so they're just west side of Springdale, 159, so here in just a few minutes. Downtown Bentonville, 201. Downtown Fayetteville at 203, Little Flock at 205, east side of Rogers there at the airport, 207, Pea Ridge, 208, Brightwater, 211, Beacon Addition, 213, Goshen at 214, War Eagle, 216, Gateway at 220. There's just a few communities there that gives you a general idea of when we would expect this storm to be passing through your neck of the woods. That's going to be on the leading edge, so that's when the winds are going to pick up. That's when the winds are going to be the most intense out there. Not necessarily when the rain gets the heaviest, but when the wind is going to be anywhere between 50 upwards of 60 miles per hour. Likely at the highest. It's a big system. It's a big complex of showers and thunderstorms that extends well back towards Oklahoma City. In fact, you can see some lightning well to the west of OKC. So a lot of this is going to be trying to work its way our direction. This is the strongest portion of it right now. We don't have any active watches in effect. We're really only looking at this one specific Boeing segment in northwest Arkansas, Benton and Washington, that's producing severe weather. There's a lot of activity here in the River Valley, and maybe it's just now waking you up and you're tuning in, you're finding us on 5+. Good morning to you. I apologize that you're here with us, but we're happy to be here for you. If Mother Nature's got you awake in the River Valley and you're wondering what in the world's going on, nothing severe at the moment. Happy to tell you that. They are strong thunderstorms though, no question about it. They're producing a lot of lightning, so you're hearing a lot of thunder out there. The rain's probably getting kind of loud at times, and a lot of reds here. That's going to tell us you've got some pretty heavy precipitation at times. When it comes to the severe weather potential, it's obviously primarily right now focused on the leading edge of this line. That line does extend further into the River Valley, but at this point it hasn't necessarily produced anything of immediate concern. It's not as organized as it is right now in northwest Arkansas. You can see a clear, crisp line along that leading edge there. Well, that's where we're going to find the strongest of the winds. Back towards the south, not as organized, not as definitively organized into that line segment. So that's why right now, at least for the time being, it's not of concern to me. I'm watching to make sure that doesn't change though. We can only look for what we're looking at right now and hope that nothing necessarily changes. In northwest Arkansas, we'll go back into this specific cell right here. We'll zoom in closer. We'll get an idea of where those that leading Boeing segment is, where those winds are currently the highest. Kind of easy to see. We're probably right there just to the west of Springdale. Weather Service maintains the potential of 60-mile-per-hour winds. Hail, which has been lacking. There's probably not a whole lot of hail. There could be a little bit in there. We'll look at our rotation. This is one of the ways we look at the winds. Of course, green's blowing towards the radar, red's blowing away from it. Oops, let me go back closer into that. Didn't mean to push that button. At times there have been some little kinks in this line, and I always want to look into these little kinks because that's where you can sometimes get pockets of rotation, little eddies to start to spin. I'm not seeing a lot of that, at least as of the last couple of scans. Might be a little bit of something now near Highfill, so that's going to be near the airport. This rotation, if you can even call it that, and I'm hesitant to even do that, I don't want to alarm anyone, it would be in this general vicinity right here. It's very weak, very broad in nature, not necessarily of much concern for us right now. I'm paying close attention to it to make sure nothing changes, but as of right now, I think this remains to be a damaging wind threat. In fact, let's go back and look at just the straight line wind potential alone. when you look at that, it's pretty easy to see those bright pinks right there. Well, that's the leading edge of this line segment, and that's where those damaging straight line winds would be found should they actually be making it to the ground. We'll back this up a little bit. We are looking a little bit higher up into the atmosphere, but nonetheless, even at radar beam level, you can get some pixels 60. That's severe right there. That's going to cause a little bit of damage if that's making it to the ground. 50. Right along Highway 16, right at 48 miles per hour, back south of Fayetteville, around 66 or so miles per hour. That's in that warning polygon. So those winds are certainly breezy out there. There's no question about it. As that line comes through, now pretty much running parallel with Interstate 49, soon going to be tracking off towards the east of 49, you're probably going to encounter some damaging straight line winds with this specific cell. Let's look at the hail potential. It's really not probably going to be there, but I don't want to take that for granted. Yeah, nothing there at all. We'll zoom out just to make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't think there's going to be a lot of hail. Yeah, I don't see any at all with that specific cell. That's some good news. If there's any good news at all, it would be that there's not currently any hail potential. You'll notice right here, we talk about a Boeing segment. You can kind of see it. It's going to be right in this general vicinity right here, where those winds are just pushing out of that cell. So that's why we expect the heaviest winds or the highest winds right now, let's say between Rogers and Fayetteville. I think that's where we're probably going to have the most intense winds. Not to say north of Rogers, it might not get windy out there. They very well could get up to 60 or so miles per hour. It's going to be in this general vicinity, right on that leading edge, where you'd find that big push of wind out from that thunderstorm, in addition to, of course, the heavy rain that's soon going to follow. Well, they're seeing less lightning with that cell, which is some good news. We kind of noticed that a few moments ago on some of our cameras that we were looking at there as well. Is there any hail with these storms? Tracy, I see you sent me a message 16 minutes ago. I apologize, I'm just now seeing that. Obviously, we just kind of talked about the hail in the Northwest Arkansas portion of the storms. Right now, that's likely going to be at some scattered activity now extends into Madison County. That's all ahead of the main line. It's just some good old-fashioned garden variety thunderstorms. Let's work our way down the line. Make sure nothing else is changing or sticking out to us. A lot of thunderstorm activity in the River Valley. In fact, this is where we have the bulk of the activity this morning. It is somewhat widespread. I think that's a fair word to use. I do notice a bit more lightning, so obviously we're probably hearing a lot of thunder. There's probably more folks awake in the River Valley based off of Mother Nature's alarms than the actual folks in Northwest Arkansas, where there actually is a severe thunderstorm warning. It's funny how that kind of works out there. These storms, though, likely very efficient rain producers, so we probably are going to see some flash flooding before it's all said and done, simply given how much rain is going to be falling out of these cells. And you think about what's coming even behind them out there as well. We'll go a little bit further south. We do have some showers and some thunderstorms in Scott County as well as in LaFleur County. This one moving into LaFleur County could have had 50 or so mile per hour winds coming out of it. So we're close to that severe weather threshold. Not quite there. That's at 60. So we're close. We're approaching it. We'll see if that thunderstorm doesn't grow into something that would warrant a severe thunderstorm warning. This one in Scott County, I don't think it has any attributes to it. Stephen, does it, when you get a chance, I know you're busy over there, will you check Little Rock and just see if there's anything that we need to know with regards to this Scott County cell? Right now, it doesn't appear severe. Let's take a look at some of our rotation tools while we're here, waiting on some of that information. Honestly, nothing sticks out necessarily to me there. We'll look at velocity, just plain old velocity. Probably, some breezy 40 or so mile per hour winds. Not a concern to us, at least in terms of severe weather potential, but certainly a loud thunderstorm that's going to produce a lot of lightning and a lot of thunder there specifically. Area-wide, our severe thunderstorm warning is just this one fella right here, Benton and Washington County. Current time's 2:01. This warning runs until 2:15 this morning. At times, it has had a little bit of rotation with it. It's been weak rotation, so not enough to warrant an actual tornado warning. I know you hear the word rotation and you're immediately going to get concerned. That rotation, while it's been there, it's been so weak that it hasn't necessarily been of a concern to us. Stephen, I saw you look over my way. I don't think it's on. Can we? It's
on. I just gotta get Patrick. I haven't talked to him yet this morning.
You want to holler at me, and I'll relay it.
The warning that's up to the damage threat considerable, just south of it, they issued that special weather statement.
Okay.
Of that line when it comes to Scott County, lots of lightning, nothing from Little Rock, and no special weather statement just yet.
Cool. Thank you, Stephen Elmore. Stephen and I have been passing each other in the night. Okay, I think he's actually good. Thank you, Patrick. Though it's just that time of the year where we see each other and we say good morning and hello and goodbye, and we'll see you again in about 8 hours. And that's going to probably be the case again today with that round later this afternoon. We'll track this while he's getting his forecast ready. I'm not going to rush him this morning. A lot of activity area-wide. This warning has now been trimmed, so we no longer have western Benton or western Washington County in that warning. We'll see if they don't have to issue a downstream warning. I suspect they might, just given this cell has been pretty persistent with some of those winds coming out of it. It's been a second since I've measured those, so let's go back into northwest Arkansas. We'll go back into Benton and Washington County where those winds are the highest, right along and parallel with I-49 right now. Warning, of course, starts at the Missouri-Arkansas state line and extends down towards Greenland. But I think really the highest winds are probably going to be Rogers through Fayetteville. That's at least where they have been over the last few minutes. We'll be able to tell pretty quickly. Yep, it really is going to be Rogers down to about Springdale at this point. Not to say there might not be some breezy winds through Johnson and even Fayetteville, but those pinks right there tell me that's probably going to be where we find our highest wind speeds when we look at just winds alone. That's from the Fort Smith radar. Again, none of them are perfect at this range. We're all looking in the higher levels of the atmosphere, but when you start to look at some of those pinks there from Lowell through Cave Springs down towards Springdale, this is probably where we've got 50, 60 mile per hour straight line winds potentially coming out of this specific cell here. Let me see if I can't turn on some numbers for us. Okay, yeah, 56. And that's again at the radar beam level, so what that's translating to at the ground level may be entirely a little higher, and that's why that warning is set to continue 58 miles per hour. So we're definitely at that severe weather threshold, and there's some winds as far south as Johnson, a little bit lower, still probably breezy, still probably waking a little bit of folks up as those winds whip around the windows. You're probably hearing that whistle out there. I've heard it here at the station in the last couple of minutes. It really looks like Cave Springs through probably Lowell right now. That's where we have the highest wind speeds. Let's back out just a little bit. I'm going to put a new track on this for us. And when I do that, I'll be able to give you some estimated times of arrival simply from the actual leading edge of that Boeing segment. That's eventually going to take that cell into eastern Washington, as well as, let's say, eastern Benton, maybe even parts of Eureka Springs as well, Carroll County. So let's do this at 45 miles per hour. Was it 45 or was it 55? I've looked 3 times and I keep forgetting. It's early and the coffee's starting to wear off. 45 miles per hour. Okay. Oh, Stephen, am I fighting you? Let me do this real quick. So we'll take this off.
Well, Scott's working on that. A few pieces of information to pass along to you. Fort Smith area includes Van Buren, Barling, Lavaca, Greenwood, Bacola, Fort Coffee, Spiro. You got some loud thunderstorms out there right now. Also, communities like Cedar, Mountainburg, Cedarville. You're under what's called special weather statements right now. Those thunderstorms below the severe limit considered by the National Weather Service. So yes, we still see you. We still know you're dealing with some of those thunderstorms, just not crossing over the severe limit. As soon as it does, we will pass that information along to you. Additionally, new special weather statement, again, not crossing over that severe limit. We were just talking about it. Scott County, lots of lightning, lots of strong winds, just not crossing over that 60 mile per hour threshold to issue one of those warnings. Again, as soon as that happens, we'll make sure to pass that information along to you.
Yeah, good information right there. I want to look at the Ozark camera. Let's see if we can't see a little bit of that lightning off towards the south. Yep, yeah, a lot of it really quickly right there. Let's take a look at our Rogers camera. We've been looking at that one a little bit to see if we couldn't see any type of lowering, anything that would concern us. Given the fact that rotation is just not there like it was, I can't imagine we would. Rain, of course, has now moved in. This is I-49, just for some context. Back behind me, it would be Cross Church, and back to the left here would be the AMP. Just for some context, is kind of where we're looking at. Back off towards the west, way off in the distance, that's going to be western Benton County, and then of course over into Oklahoma. That's some big picture context. And you've got the rain right now. Looks like it's probably pretty breezy out there. This is where those winds would likely be the strongest. Folks are still traveling southbound there along I-49. So I don't see anything necessarily that concerns me too much with that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Bentonville camera, which is probably going to be in the thick of it as much as we're going to be out there, at least as of right now. This is going to be our Jack Link's camera, and it does look off towards the southwest as well. Perhaps that's the leading shelf cloud right there. In fact, that is exactly what that is. Look how quickly it's moving. In fact, if you just stare at it, if you're just kind of draw your eye to it, you can see it's racing closer and closer to that camera. We caught that at just the absolute most perfect time. It's about to kind of bypass us, and what's going to happen after this moves through is we're going to see really intense rain start to pick up over the next several minutes. In fact, I can see, if you look at the street lights, you can kind of see the wind really blowing those sheets of rain around. We're going to lose a little bit of visibility with this camera probably over the next few minutes, just because of that heavy rain is going to be building in on it now that the shelf cloud itself has passed through. That seemingly is what's happening right now. We really got to that at the exact moment. Look at that. We are really losing visibility quickly out there. Couldn't have timed that any better at all. Let's take a look in Fayetteville. This is going to be from our Slim Chickens camera. If I pull up the right one. Okay, this is looking back off towards the east. So we're not going to see a whole lot from that perspective, but I can quickly spin it around. Lots of wind in Springdale by 412 and 71. I believe that. I would say right now your maximum is probably going to be about 60 or so miles per hour, which is certainly severe. And that's certainly something that if you have any west-facing windows, you probably want to avoid those. Avoid windows in general wouldn't be a bad idea, but certainly those west-facing windows. So as I swing this around, I hope I'm not making anyone dizzy. I'm making myself dizzy. I'm going to have to hold it together. There's the target over there. So let's pause it right about here. We're going to be looking back towards 49. Washington Regional, just for some context, is right over here. So right there is going to be the leading edge of that storm. In fact, if you see some of these lights over here, I think that's one of the car dealerships, the one with the big American flag. I apologize, I don't remember the name of it. That's where that is. Plan from the Weather Service is to let the warning expire. Most intense portion went over X and A. And with that said, it is now passed off towards the east, continuing to show some signs of weakening. So that could be some really good news for us. I keep thinking we might be able to see a little bit more lightning here. There's a little bit right there. Not as much as you would expect. Certainly not as much as what you're seeing in some of the cells in the River Valley. In fact, I kind of want to look at some of our Fort Smith cameras. We'll go back to this one, which is going to be our other Mercy camera. We have two Mercy Hospital cameras, one in Rogers, one in Fort Smith. This one on Rogers Avenue. Try to keep that straight when you're really stressed, right? This is a live look out there. Rain's moving into the area. Not as much lightning here as I would have guessed, at least over the next last couple of seconds. I keep thinking maybe we'd see more. Occasionally I can see some big old fat raindrops coming down. Nothing severe in the River Valley. That's the really good news for us right now. I think this is going to be our ACHE camera. So this is going to be on the south side of town. Can't see a whole lot of anything out there. You can certainly see that it is rainy and it is definitely windy. Current time is 2:10 this morning. We technically have a severe thunderstorm warning that is going to be allowed to expire, assuming it doesn't re-strengthen over the next 5 minutes alone. But it does have a pretty decent history of weakening over the last several minutes. Right now, this is the big picture. Here's that warning that is likely set to expire in the next 4 minutes. That's according to the Weather Service out of Tulsa, responsible for those warnings. Right now, it has shown a definitive sign of weakening. In fact, when you look back in East Oklahoma, as it crosses that state line, kind of an intense line there with a good blowing segment, good push of winds. At times, we're as high as 70 miles per hour. So we're talking some good straight line winds. Unfortunately, that sense has really lost a lot of its organization. The definition along the leading edge of that line is now much more broken in nature. Some heavy rain, there's no question that's going to be coming for a lot of us out there, and it's really happening for a lot of us right now. But that line segment does extend back into portions of LaFleur County. It's not severe. In fact, I'll even tell you that line apparently, seemingly is weakening as it crosses the state line, even into the River Valley as well. You don't find near as many of those bright reds, which indicate to us some heavier downpours, as you once did as those cells were coming into eastern Oklahoma. That's one of those signs that tells us, yeah, these storms probably are on the weakening trend, at least a little bit out there. We'll take another look into the River Valley. We're going to zoom in. Let's start in Fort Smith, and then we'll work our way towards the south a little bit. We'll start in the big picture. Watch this loop here. Yeah, you see a lot of those reds. I know it's moving pretty quick and it's 2:11 in the morning and you're frustrated and you're grumpy that you're awake. I get it. I'm frustrated and I'm grumpy that I'm awake here with you this morning too. All joking aside, I'm really happy to be here with you this morning. I wish it was on a different occasion. We do have some thunderstorms. That's it. Look how much of those are weakening as it crosses the state line. You go from a crisp, almost pretty well-defined line of some darker reds, probably some gusty winds coming out of that. Now that we're right on top of the radar, which does give us a pretty good picture as to what's happening, it's a good-fashioned good old-fashioned soaking Goldie washer, and that's likely about it. A little bit of thunder, lightning to the south of Ozark. That's about the best pocket of lightning I see on that specific image. Let's do this. Let's work our way south. I do want to keep in mind that we did have that special weather statement issued for portions of LaFleur County. That cell 2 definitely has a little bit of lightning still with it, but I'll tell you, it even also looks less pronounced than it once did. Still looks to be strong just to the west of Poto. So Fanshell, you're probably hearing a lot of lightning and thunder out there as well. That's going to be passing just to the northwest of Poto, and that may skirt back into portions of Sequoia County. In Waldron, light to moderate rain, but the stronger thunderstorms actually just off to your east. So it's close enough, though, that I guarantee you we got some folks this morning that are awake with us just because they've heard all of that lightning and that thunder right there near Parks. That Parks community's been hit hard with storms over the last several weeks. Unfortunately, this one probably waking a lot of folks up. Let's make sure there ain't no stinking hell in that cell. Oh goodness, there's a little bit. Let's see how big it is. It's probably small. We're probably talking pea size, maybe penny at most. Pea size, pea size, pea size, perfect. That's not going to do any damage. It may be waking you up a little bit this morning, and there's no question a lot of folks in Scott County are sick of the hail, and I totally get it. Right now, that hail detector is showing primarily just some pea-size hail on the east side of town. I wouldn't expect a whole lot more this morning. I would expect more damaging winds than anything else. It looks like that warning is got 2 more minutes to go, and they're probably going to let it ride all the way up until the very last second. I want to go back into the South Franklin County cell. There's a lot of lightning with that booger too. You see all those little white dots right there? That's going to be those lightning strikes. Maybe south of Ozark, right near, let's say, the Cecil and Meg community. A decent amount of those. I wouldn't expect a whole lot of hail, certainly no more than what we've had in Scott County, but it does look like there may be just a little pocket of probably some pea-size hail north of Peter Pender, just to the east of 41, and I would bet that's going to say pea size as well. Okay, less than a quarter, so we're talking probably actually less than pea size. Maybe not even enough hail that you would actually even notice when it mixes in with all the rain. Often when it's that small, it's really tough to discern. Is that a big old fat raindrop or is that actually hailstones? This morning it's probably just big old fat raindrops and nothing else. We'll go back to live Doppler radar. Current time is 2:15 on the dot. Hope you got a little bit of sleep before Mother Nature woke you up. Right now, we have no current active severe thunderstorm warnings, but we do have some good soaking rains, a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, at times probably some breezy winds. These red polygons off towards the west, they're actually really maroon. Those are flood warnings. This same system has dumped a lot of rain over the last several minutes, several hours, and we'll have to see if maybe we don't have some flooding issues on our hands here over the next hour or two as well. We've seen a lot of rain in recent days. Ground's somewhat saturated. This is coming down at a pretty good rate, and that unfortunately is going to exasperate some of those flooding concerns. We'll check our reports. I don't have any specific reports here. Let's see what this one was. This was going to be the west of Adair County. That was probably when that line came through. We had 62-mile-per-hour winds that came out of that line. That's one of the reasons that warning was issued the way it was and as quickly as it was by the Weather Service in Tulsa, long before it actually made it into northwest Arkansas. When I look at the winds there, nothing really stands out to me as straight line winds, maybe some breezy winds. There's a little pocket here in South Franklin County as well. Man, I'm not really seeing much else. Things are really trending downward, which is some good news for us. We knew these storms would be weakening on approach, and that seemingly is exactly what's happening out there here this morning. Meg community, let's see, this is probably going to be 20 to 30. Let's see if I can do this the correct way. Now 28, yeah. 27. Ain't no thing. 30-mile-per-hour winds, ain't no thing. It's another day in Arkansas, right? We'll go back to live radar. Oops. Got too excited. There we go. All right, current time's 2:16. Strongest thunderstorm is in eastern Scott County. Stephen, I'm relying on you. Oh, I lost Stephen. Oh, he's back here. He's just hiding behind the corner there. If you see anything out of Little Rock.
Yeah, the only thing in Little Rock right now when it comes to Scott County is there's two different special weather statements. One works just north of Mena out of Polk County, and that's the first special weather statement. The second one, like you were just talking about, eastern Scott County. Some strong winds right now, capable of producing those wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Lots of lightning in Scott County as well this morning. It's loud. Strong winds still, 50-mile-per-hour winds, still nothing to joke about, but that special weather statement's there just because it's not crossing over that threshold for severe limits right now.
But at 50 miles per hour, I mean, those are some, we're close. We're close to that threshold of 60. Looks like we have a new special weather statement in effect for Crawford, Madison, Franklin, and portions of Washington County. That's going to be until 3 o'clock this morning for that specific cell right there. Let's go back to radar and let's see what that looks like. We'll work our way up the easy way. Okay, I can already see it. Yep, it's going to be this cell right here, I'm pretty sure. It's going to be the one between Winslow and Mountainburg, this general vicinity, and that's going to be pushing off towards the north and west. That's about the worst squiggly line I could possibly draw for you this morning. But you kind of get the point. We'll track that. Can you tell me how quick this cell was moving?
Yeah, that was moving, let's see here, winds were at 50 miles per hour. The movement on it is... statement. Let's see, you're moving northeast at 45 miles per hour.
Okay.
Includes communities like St. Paul into Madison County, Cass, Mulberry, Alma, Mountainburg, Winslow, Brentwood, and Elkins.
Okay, so we'll put a few of those up here. Lake Fort Smith State Park 219. Probably have a few folks out there camping this morning, probably in some camper trailers out there. It's probably going to get breezy. I don't think you got anything to be concerned with as of this moment. Hazel Valley 223, Bidville at 228 Crosses, 229, Delaney at 230, White Rock Mountain, beautiful area, one of the best, 233 this morning. Mountain Crest at 234, Combs at 235. Let's fast forward over to St. Paul, 241. Pettigrew at 251. That's going to be when those winds right now up to 50 mile per hour very well could be moving your direction. Taking a lot of look in Ozark where that strong cell is moving through. So yeah, there's a lot of lightning. Not going to see a whole lot other than the lightning, just given how heavy that rain is. Here's the Arkansas River just to the bottom of your screen here. That 23 Highway Bridge, beautiful bridge over there to the left side of your screen as well. We're looking over towards the south, towards Webb City, towards Peter Pender and Meg, where that really intense rainfall has been. This camera sits at the Arkansas Valley Electric headquarters there right off of 64 Highway, overlooking the bluff and the river there. So we're looking back into the heart of that cell. It's so heavy in terms of precipitation. You're not going to see a lot. But wow, there's a lot of lightning out there. My goodness. Intense is the word I would use. And some of that's got to be really close to the camera there. It actually makes me feel nervous, and I'm standing several miles away from it. Question, I see your text message. What are the red polygons in Oklahoma? Those are flood warnings. I know they look similar to our red tornado polygons, but they're a little bit different shade of red out there. So nothing to be concerned with tornadic-wise. Those are all just flood warnings. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a flood warning or two around these parts, just given how efficient these cells are producing a lot of rain for us this morning. We'll go back to live radar. Once this slows, what you'll notice are there are no active warnings here in our neck of the woods. These are what those messages were referring to. So if it was a tornado warning, it'd be that same shade right there where the alert box is. So a little bit different, but it does tell us there's some ongoing flooding in that part of the area. One thing that to note, that's some good news for us. You don't find as much of that rain filling in. Some of that's starting to fizzle out as well. These cells, these showers and thunderstorms definitively on a weakening trend here this morning. What I'd like to do is probably give it about 10 or so more minutes, and then we'll probably let you go back to bed unless anything else just becomes severe. But I'll tell you, the trend that I'm seeing, I have a hard time believing we're going to see a lot more severe weather. I wouldn't rule out maybe one or two, especially with this cell here in Scott County. It's pretty strong just in terms of the lightning alone, so it tells us we can't necessarily just ignore it. The cell that was moving into western LaFleur County, as you look at that, it's weaker and weaker with every scan. Still strong. I don't want to discount that necessarily, but it looks just based off radar presentation alone that we're probably a little bit weaker than we once were. So we'll keep it here, right here on Channel 5. We are live on Channel 5. We're live on 5 Plus, as we always are in these types of situations. We'll keep it here for about, let's say, 8 or so more minutes. And around 2:30, we'll take you back to regular programming on Channel 5. And if there's any reason to keep the stream up, we will. I'll tell you right now, I feel like we're probably going to be in fine shape based off of kind of what we're seeing here. If there's any exception to be made, it would be our cell in Scott County, which does have quite a bit of lightning and thunder with it. So let's go back into it and get an idea of exactly what this cell is doing. It does appear that there's a lot of lightning with it. In fact, over the last 10 minutes alone, I can put a count on it. Well, that's not correct. Okay, let me do that again. Okay, that's better. 262 strikes, largely in Scott County alone over the last 10 minutes. And it really is this cell now, mostly to the east, but it is appearingly back building off towards the south there as well. So all around Waldron, you've got a strong thunderstorm. It's not severe, nothing necessarily to be too concerned with at the moment. That doesn't mean it might not grow into something severe. If it were to do that, it will probably be for the potential of some gusty winds, maybe even a little bit of hail. It does look like that little hail core has come up just a bit. Still, it's nothing like what you dealt with. In fact, regretting even saying the word hail in Scott County, because I know it's going to give you some folks a little PTSD. Most of you probably haven't even had your roofs, your cars repaired yet. You're probably still dealing with insurance from a couple of weeks ago, and I hate that for you. But it does look like, yeah, we're looking at about penny-sized hail, just to the south of Waldron, just to the west of Parks. That general vicinity looks like we might have a little bit of hail. It's going to be tracking near 250, State Highway 250. Probably at this point, by the time you hear my voice, it's probably right on top of 250 there. A little pocket of hail, a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and a lot of thunder. Rain rates with this is always kind of a fun tool. This is going to look very psychedelic, and I'm acutely aware that it's 2:23 in the morning. The last thing you want to look at is something psychedelic, but here we are. So this is some precipitation rates, nearly 2 inches per hour. And that's not to say you're all going to get two inches. What that does mean for us is where you see these colors and these representations of nearly 2 inches an hour, should that cell have actually just parked itself and stayed on top of you for a full 60 minutes, you would likely end up with nearly 2 inches in those rain gauges. That's a high precipitation rate. Anytime you're talking 2 to 3 inches, you're talking about the potential for some runoff. It's going to be tough for your creeks and your drainage ditches and the sewer system to really keep up with that kind of runoff. And that's unfortunate for a lot of folks out there. If we don't deal with it early this morning, there's a good chance we'll deal with it again later this afternoon as that next wave likely moves into the area. Right now, it is currently 2:24. We don't have a lot going on. I told you I was going to let this thing ride out till about 2:30, but to be honest, I'm not sure we have any reason to do that. Let's take a look at our cameras here. I want to go back to the Ozark camera. It was pretty impressive. That lightning was quite intense a second ago. I've been looking at it off screen, and I know it probably still is for a lot of us. Yeah, oh, goodness gracious. Rain's obviously really intense. Otherwise, when it's not raining, you have a beautiful view of the bridge. Often you can even see the river. If there's a moon, there's no clouds, you can see the moon really illuminating the water. I can't see that here this morning, so that rain definitely quite intense. I want to go back and look at our Fort Smith camera. I think I'm seeing a lot of lightning over there as well on both of them. We've got two cameras there, one on Rogers Avenue, one on the south side of town. At the ACHE campus. First, we'll start with our Mercy camera here on Rogers Avenue. Looks like the rain's continuing, maybe not as heavy as it was, which is some good news for us. How much lightning can we pick up on this camera? It kind of depends on how long we're going to wait. We'll give it a second. Okay, Patrick, who's been here with us all night, just reminded me that the Poto camera has probably been picking up a lot of good lightning out there as well. This one sits on the Eastern Oklahoma Medical Center. It gives us a beautiful view. My goodness, on a clear, nice day, it's just absolutely stunning out there. Let's see, are we going to catch anything? I think you pull it up and you just jinx yourself. You're not going to see anything. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, a little bit of lightning out there. Okay, now we're seeing more and more of this. This is probably the backside of that cell that's moving into West Arkansas. This is probably looking on the backside there. We'll pull up our ACHE camera. This is on the south side of town. This one's probably also going to give us a decent view of that cell moving through Franklin, southern Franklin County as well. Probably also maybe looking in the wrong direction there, but that lightning's bright enough, it'd probably light up the sky, even if it was pointed off in the wrong direction. Rain certainly continues. Good soaking rain for a lot of us. We'll give it a second. We're just lightning chasing out there this morning. That's what we're doing. I'm looking at them all off screen, and there's a lot of lightning out there. That's it though. These cells this morning, at least as of right now, in this moment, a lot of bark, very little bite. Nothing severe right now. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. At times it had some rotation as it moved through portions of Adair, Delaware, and then into Benton County, but that has since drastically weakened. Looks like the strongest of cells, I can now pinpoint two, one in Franklin, one in Scott counties. Those not severe, not meeting those severe weather thresholds, but a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, so a lot of folks are getting woken up a little bit early this morning, and I apologize if that's you. Hopefully you can get back to bed here real soon as these storms continue to track off towards the east-northeast. There's not a whole lot necessarily behind it, not to say you might not hear some pitter-patter of the rain, even some rumbles of thunder, but it really looks like, as we take a look back off towards the west, right now, there's not necessarily a whole lot in the immediate future. There is certainly some convection, some thunderstorms back towards OKC, back towards Wichita Falls, in that general direction, but that's a few hours away from us. While we're here, let's just run through some models, or a model. Let's just see what the next several hours may hold for us. That's 5:30 this morning, maybe a little bit of rain out there. We'll go a little bit further. I think we're probably going to get a bit of a break as the kids are heading off to the bus stop. Maybe not entirely dry, but a little bit better. And then we'll start to track that next line, likely moving our direction by late morning, early afternoon. And it too very well could be strong to severe. Timing of this, I wouldn't get too hung up on. This specific model says we're getting that leading edge moving in around 1 o'clock. I think that's probably fair, but to be safe, it could be noon or it could be 2, right? Let's give it that 1 hour wiggle room on either side, but a strong line of thunderstorms nonetheless, likely going to be moving into the area. That's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so we're right on that Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. Now by 3:30, we're into a good chunk of the area. Good moderate to heavy rain continues even behind that into the first part of tomorrow evening. Other thing to note, as that second line moves in, late morning, early afternoon, here's the severe weather outlook. We do have a few updates to pass along to you. You can see that orange zone there, that's going to be a level 3. That's to our south, not necessarily of a concern to us, but that level 2 potential encompasses a large majority of the 5 News viewing area. We did trim out a little bit more of Benton County, still at a level 1 though, so not necessarily entirely out of the woods. In fact, what we can also do is take a look at the specific hazards associated with this when we kind of lift up the hood. Let's see, is this one going to be up? It's day 2, day 1. So our tornado potential's there. It's relatively low, but it's not zero. It's definitively there. Looks like it's a little bit higher in the river valley. When it comes to our hail potential, it's also somewhat low. What is in the elevated category for a large majority of us here in yellow is going to be that potential for some damaging straight line winds. That's going to be for the second round that comes in late morning, early afternoon. I know it's been a busy one, and it's kind of tough to keep track of all these different rounds of rain and storms. And the interesting thing that makes kind of forecasting this a little bit tricky is it's all very dependent on what happened with the previous round. In fact, all this junk that you see on live radar right now, it's going to have implications on that later round, later this morning into the this afternoon, in terms of intensity, severity, placement, timing, all of the things get impacted. It's like the domino effect, and that just continues until we can finally push this system out of the area late tomorrow night into early Thursday morning, and then I think we'll start to see some quieter weather going into let's say Saturday, Sunday, Monday of next week, some nice weather. Okay, time now is 2:30. Let's do this. Let's just go ahead and say goodnight. Good morning, good night. We're going to be here in case something decides to start acting up. Let me ask Stephen one thing. Anything out of Little Rock before we kind of say goodnight?
Let's see here at a Little Rock chat room. Last thing they mentioned was at 2:06, so no, nothing recently.
Okay, excellent. Nothing severe right now. There's a lot of lightning and a lot of thunder, and you may be thinking, Scott, don't leave me hanging. Stephen, don't leave me hanging. Look, there's nothing severe at the moment. If something bubbles back up, you know exactly where to find us. We're going to be right here, just as we always are. I think of these things are just going to be loud for us for the next several minutes. Eventually, it's going to pass on out of the area, and maybe you can get a little bit of rest at that point. For all of us here at 5 News, of course, we got some awesome directors. Patrick's up in the booth. Patrick's been with us since about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Stephen got about 4 hours of sleep, and he's going to be tracking these the rest of the morning for us. So we appreciate you from all of us to you. We hope you have a good night. We'll see you later.